I saved a lot of lives that night.
Everyone needs to get off the dance floor!
We've recently seen some exciting new shots from Final Destination Bloodlines, some that even have me rethinking some of my latest theories. In today's video, let's talk about everything we've learned from the most recent marketing for the 6th entry, as well as an unreleased final trailer. Now let's get into it. Hey everybody, I'm KillJoy Jake, and instead of having friends, I have horror movies. The 6th entry in the Final Destination franchise has had a ton of sporadic updates just in the past few weeks or so. First off, here's this sick international poster for the new film featuring a bloody skull made up of a bunch of victims screaming. If that doesn't get you hyped, maybe everything else in this video will. Our first major update comes from one of the directors, Zach Lipovsky, who recently told SFX magazine for the film The First Premonition takes place in 1969. There are lots of deaths during the premonition, which is what normally happens in the opening sequence of a Final Destination movie, but we then come out of the eye of a different person in the modern day. That's new. For a lot of fans, I think that's going to immediately throw them for a loop. It's going to make them lean forward to try and figure out what's going on. This quote makes me think that Stephanie, our new lead, played by Caitlin Santawana, will likely be this character that Zach is talking about here. I have reason to believe that a lot of the marketing we've seen so far has simply been her premonitions. More on that later. Talking about himself and co-director Adam Stein, Lipovsky noted, "As moviegoers, we love it when you have to lean forward in your seat because a movie is being unpredictable. We switch up a lot of the predictability, including who's going to die next and how they are going to die. You might think it's one person, but it's not. There's a delight in that." In a previous video, we detailed how Death's design is going down the literal bloodline of the Campbell family, killing each member based on when they were born. That means it's looking pretty grim for Grandma Iris and Daddy Howard. They're likely the first to go. It does raise some questions about the unpredictability factor, though. Are there any secrets that this family holds that may come out before their deaths, disrupting the design as they know it? Some sort of twist like this usually happens in these films, so I wouldn't be surprised if our characters end up being wrong at one point on who's next to bite the dust. The meat and potatoes of this video is without a doubt some of the new photos. Here's Owen Patrick Joyner as Bobby having an allergic reaction to those tasty peanut butter cups. The cute little animals on his hoodie are cracking me up, by the way. It's giving me a Happy Tree Friends vibe. As we learned from CinemaCon this past month, this is likely a prelude to the two brothers' deaths, Bobby and Eric. I'll have more on that later in a spoilery section of today's video, but I will of course give you a big warning before we get to that. We're saving it for the end, stay tuned. There's this ominous shot of young Iris watching the tower burn, likely in her premonition. I'm really excited to get to this scene. There's been promises that there'll be some brutal deaths in all of the premonitions across this entire movie. It should kick this one off with a bang. It's this next shot, however, that's raising the most questions. Based on a shot in the trailer, fans assumed that this funeral was for the patriarch of the Campbell family, Howard, who we see die via a lawnmower in the trailer, of course. This new shot features the character at that very funeral, which is likely for Iris. That makes his toast from the trailer a little more interesting, considering it likely happens right after Iris's funeral.
Family. You don't get to pick the one you get. Just gotta love the one you got.
So you might be asking, why did the headstone say Howard Campbell then, Jake? Well, it might have been one of Stephanie's premonitions. In every shot I have shown you so far, Caitlin Santawana's character is looking around like something isn't right. She's also the only person who notices the clue with the headstone in that trailer shot, and she's even looking all funky at the barbecue. Not only is Iris our premonition character this time around, saving everybody in that tower, sort of, all the way back in 1969, I also think Steph may have inherited that from her grandmother. This once again feels a lot like the novel Final Destination: Destination Zero, which we detailed in a previous video. Thank you for 100,000 views on that one, by the way. This next shot gave me a headache. It's Stephanie in front of a board that features a ton of names and a bunch of accidents. After analyzing the names and systematically plugging them into Google, I'm pretty sure these are all new characters that we've never met before. So maybe this new entry doesn't tie every previous film together, but it does imply that all of those families that never should have existed are getting wiped out by death. They're probably already dead before this movie begins. That's going to make this film feel a lot more hopeless for its main characters, and may even set up an interesting prequel. We know something is certainly coming next for this franchise after Bloodlines, considering some of those early box office predictions. Early projections for Bloodlines says it will likely pull in 30 million plus during its opening weekend alone, which is easily the best numbers this series has ever seen. Obviously, this is just early predictions, but we likely have a hit on our hands here, people. Finally, from these new pictures, we have this hand being degloved by a ring trapped between two nails. This is a horrifying and pretty decent practical effect. I do wish there was more blood, however, but I'm sure we're gonna get some more of that on May 16th when this one finally releases. Whose hand do you think is getting the skin ripped off of it here? Let me know down in the comments below. The latest news for Final Destination 6 is that an early screening occurred for the film last night, and some reviews are already floating out there. There's also a leaked version of the final trailer that I want to just talk about already on the page, since everyone else already has. I'm just gonna put a big spoiler warning up now if you don't want to know anything else more about this film. Maybe we've already said too much, and that's totally fine. Go no further if that's the way you feel. Coming from @LifeIsAFilmFest over on Twitter, the cast of Final Destination Bloodlines at Fangoria screening in New York City. It is exactly what you want it to be. So many elaborate and inventive kills, the opening scene is extremely unnerving, and the film keeps it up that level until the final frame. Andrew Salazar of Discussing Film wrote, "Final Destination Bloodlines is one of the most diabolical and mean-spirited entries of the franchise. It's got some utterly absurd Looney Tunes level kills. It's often too self-referential and unserious to the point of parody though, best experienced with a packed crowd." That last one has me a little nervous, but they are mostly positive, including Perry Nemiroff's review here. Perry wrote, "I am a very happy Final Destination fan right now. Final Destination Bloodlines just gets it. The movie is packed with clever and extremely well executed set pieces that very successfully scratch the itch the 2000 original started. The twisted thrill of seeing the outrageous things that could happen when you get caught up in Death's design, and then having the wild ride on the big screen follow you home, leaving you wondering what everyday thing could come and get you." So is this one going to be a little sillier than the others? Probably so. I mean, a lot of the things we've heard about this one sound goofy and outrageous, but it's that juxtaposition with the cynical attitude that makes it all work, in my opinion. Rarely do you have characters actually make it out alive in this series, and I think if that stays true with Final Destination Bloodlines, fun will be had and terror at the same time. Keep it light and fun, but also cynical and dark. Death is coming for you and there is no escape. Finally, let's talk about this leaked trailer. Now, as you guys know, the point of this page is not to spoil upcoming movies, but I've seen this final trailer and it doesn't really give too much away. It's stuff that I feel comfortable talking about on this page, but again, maybe you don't, which is why we put that spoiler warning just a moment ago. This will likely release soon. My guess is a week before the film actually comes out. First and foremost, we got a better look at this MRI machine death where metallic objects get shot towards our two brothers, Eric and Bobby, through an intense magnetic pull with a spring coming out of a vending machine. Again, very ridiculous and comical, but also nothing new for this series. It's what's to be expected at this point. Running with that for a moment, there's a ton of new looks at shots we've already really seen in this trailer, but nothing super noteworthy besides that spring coming out of the vending machine that is likely going to impale one of our characters. There is, however, this shot of a train that is very interesting. This train is going off the rails, which is incredibly reminiscent of the ending of Final Destination 3. Could this be another ending where our characters who thought they cheated death are actually taken out in a surprisingly tragic denouement? Maybe. Or could this be one of the deaths of the family members who escaped the tower incident back in 1969, but then death finally came to collect? Remember that board from earlier that showed the bloodlines of a bunch of characters that survived and had families? Maybe this could be a quick flash to showing them boarding their final train ride. That could be a really fun excuse to put more deaths in this flick for characters we didn't even really know about. I personally think that would be really fun. Could be the case here too. On a final note, I'd like to warn you all that there are leaks, a ton of leaks, in fact, for Final Destination 6 out there, so be wary when going through the internet these days. I already know how some of these characters are going to die based on said leaks, and I'm not super happy about it. Whatever is happening here, it seems like it's going to be a blast. Final Destination Bloodlines comes out on May 16th, and I know I'm gonna be there in the theaters. Will you? Hey everybody, here at KillJoy Jake Industries, we work our butts off to get the most exciting horror news, theories, and bizarre off-the-cuff jokes straight to our viewers. Make sure to help out this oddball little channel by subscribing and checking out the videos occasionally. That would be pretty cool, and maybe one day I'll actually be above the poverty line. That was a joke, but it's only funny because it's true. Also, go subscribe to my horror gaming channel GullGotha that is nearing monetization. Help us get to 1,000 subs and 4,000 watch hours over there. So what's your theory on Final Destination Bloodlines? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you all again for watching. Please subscribe, and as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.